Hi there, I'm Skaji. I'm a practicing witch and a professional tarot. And I'm glad you are here. Our word this week is elephants. Elements. Fairies, come take me out of this dull world, for I would ride with you upon the wind, run on the top of the disheveled tide, and dance upon the mountain like a flame. That's by William Butler Yeats from his play, The Land of Heart's Desire. I think the concept of the classical elements is one of the most fundamental concepts in the tarot and magical practice as well. Your mileage may vary. In Greece, about 2,500 years ago, philosophers were discussing things. Philosophers. There were several ideas going around about what stuff was made of. That's what we call natural philosophy, and was the beginnings of what we today call natural sciences. We had folks like Thales of Miletus, Anaximander, Anaximenes, and Heraclitus, and they were discussing which of the elements came first. They used to get in bar brawls over that. Okay, it really didn't happen like that. They didn't even live in the same place or even at the same times. But around 450 BCE, Empedocles kind of lumped the four proposed elements together as a set, and he called them roots, rhizomata. A bit later, around 360 BCE, Plato, writing in the Timaeus, used the word we've come to know and love, element. Well, he actually didn't use element. He used stoichion, because he was a Greek dude. Element is a Latin word. Another Greek fellow named Aristotle wrote a few words here and there, and in On the Heavens, written about 350 BCE, he had this to say about the elements. The answer will be plain once we have laid down what is the nature of an element. Let us then define the element in bodies as that into which other bodies may be analyzed, which is present in them either potentially or actually, which of the two is a matter for future debate, and which cannot itself be analyzed into constituents differing in kind. Some such definition of an element is what all thinkers are aiming at throughout. Now, of course, he wrote all that stuff in Greek, but not being willing to leave well enough alone, Aristotle just had to fiddle around with stuff, and he added a fifth element, a quintessence. And it's fun to point out right here that he also had a cameo in the movie The Fifth Element. It was uncredited, of course. Okay, that didn't happen either. Aristotle had been dead for about 2,300 years when that movie came out. Anywho, Aristotle figured that since stuff here on Earth could change and the stars didn't change, he didn't know any better at the time, but since the stars didn't change, the star stuff couldn't be made out of the same stuff that things around him were. So, quintessence, an unchangeable fifth element. The idea of elements as the building blocks of the physical universe has continued, passing through various iterations in alchemy and on into modern sciences of chemistry and physics. Now, I should point out here that the Greek system that we're talking about isn't the only system that has or does exist. Other cultures from around the world have also been working to figure out their universe and develop their own models. But it's the Greek model that has had the largest influence on the modern tarot and magic here in the West. Today, in tarot and magic, we use the classical elements in a philosophical or metaphysical way, not so much as the building blocks of the physical universe, but more as a model for the spiritual or energetic universe. Now, the classical elements show up in the very structure of the tarot in the minor arcana. And while there is some difference between decks, for the most part, the minor arcana are associated thusly: wands with fire, cups with water, swords with air, and pentacles with earth. Some readers and authors associate the major arcana with the quintessence, or with spirit. And it doesn't end there. The classical elements are integral to the study of astrology as well, which finds its way into the tarot through the astrological correspondences. Pisces is a water sign, Gemini is an air sign, Virgo is an earth sign, Sagittarius is a fire sign. You get the picture, I'm sure. The elements are right there in the Qabalah as well. In the mystical Qabalah by Dion Fortune, first published in 1935, she says, according to this system, the 4 suits of the tarot pack are assigned to the 4 worlds of the Kabbalists and the 4 elements of the alchemists. The suit of wands is assigned to Atziluth and fire. The suit of cups to Briah and water. The suit of swords to Yetzirah and air. The suit of pentacles or coins to Asaya or earth. Do you have to become an expert in all this to read cards well? Or perform effective magic? Yeah, probably not. But having a more than passing familiarity with the classical elements can give you a very effective tool in your tarot or magical toolbox. I haven't really said all that much about the elements themselves today. There's already a lot of good information out there. I like Practical Elemental Magic by Rankine and Diesti. I found this book to be a good look at the elements, and it encourages what I feel is the best way to get to know the elements, practical and personal experience. I could say a bunch of stuff, and you'd get an idea, maybe 2. But if you work to experience the energies of the elements for yourself, you won't just know stuff, you'll feel it. You'll understand it in ways beyond mere words. It's elementary, my dear viewers. This week's card is the 5 of Pentacles and was suggested by my good friend and colleague, Kelly. Thanks, Kelly. There are a few cards in the tarot which elicit groans when they show up. The Tower, Death, the 10 of Swords, the 3 of Swords, the 9 of Swords. Swords gets a bad rap. And the 5 of Pence. Every reader has a card or 2 they just don't like. For me, the 5 of Pence is one of those. It has a kind of unavoidable, out-of-control feel to it at first glance. We live in a universe that's fallen apart. It's not a metaphor. Our physical universe is falling apart. It's called entropy. Don't fret. The ultimate heat death of our physical universe won't happen for a very, 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 very long time. We're talking billions and billions of years. But we've all experienced this in our daily lives, haven't we? Everything is moving along nicely and boom, a thing happens. Our car breaks down. We get sick. We split the tail of our drawers at work. You get the picture. Excrement occurs. That's the 5 of Pence. It's the stuff we experience in life that seems to just bring everything to a halt. There's a song I like which sums it up nicely. It was written by Mark Knopfler of Dire Straits, but my favorite version is a cover by Mary Chapin Carpenter, and it's called The Bug. Sometimes you're the windshield, sometimes you're the bug. Sometimes it all comes together, baby. Sometimes you're a fool in love. Sometimes you're the Louisville Slugger, baby. Sometimes you're the ball. Sometimes it all comes together, baby, and sometimes you're gonna lose it all. That may sound like I'm describing the Tower, but to me, the 5 of Pence is the Tower of daily life. The Pence, they're the suit of earth. One of the correspondences for this suit is our physical world, our bodies, our health, our money, day-to-day stuff. Early decks titled this suit coins, and that monetary sense has kind of stuck with us, but let's not be so literal. Let's take a wider view of this element. Resources is a better word, I think, for this. If you wanted to, you could say energy or even spoons. Sometimes we just don't have the resources to deal with the stuff that we encounter in life, and that's the 5 of Pence. In the tarot, the fives are, in general, a bit trying. One might even say irritating. That's the number of strife and trouble and difficulty. In the Qabalah, the fifth Sephirah is called Geburah, and is just that. Struggle and hardship, and it's associated with the planet Mars. And the pence as a suit are associated with the Kabbalistic world of Asaya, the manifested reality of our existence. Astrologically, and at least the way the Golden Dawn looks at things, the Five of Pence is associated with Taurus, the most bull-headed sign of the zodiac. Okay, it's the only literally bull-headed sign, but it still fits. Earth is the slowest moving element, the most resistant to change. But let's not get hung up on the struggle. After all, struggle and difficulty aren't always bad. I don't think that there are any cards in the deck that are always bad. Yeah, sometimes life kicks us in the teeth. Sometimes we're the bug. For those who go to the gym, the idea of plateauing is familiar. I had to look it all up because I do not go to the gym. In the APA Dictionary of Psychology, plateau is defined as a period in learning when the learning curve flattens because the rate of increase has stopped temporarily, often because of fatigue, boredom, loss of motivation, or a change in the level of skill required. We've all been there in one way or another, haven't we? But do we stop, or do we keep trying? The Five of Pence isn't the end of the story. Remember, each suit has 10 numbered cards. The fives are the middle of the story. This doesn't mean life doesn't suck sometimes, and it isn't hard sometimes, but it's not the end of the story. Now, let's see how a few different decks play this out. Here in our Rider-Waite-Smith deck, we see an unfortunate couple out in the cold. Poor dude here is on crutches, their clothes are in rags, and it's snowing. And they're passing by this big, pretty window, which hints to me of shelter right there, warm and dry. But where's the door? This surely is a card of a really bad day. But you know what? Our friends are still moving. Think about that for a minute. Maybe they don't know how to fix things, but they're still moving. They haven't given up. In this card from the Urban Tarot, we get a look at a different kind of really bad day, a diagnosis. This deck is in the Thoth style and names the card Worry. I received a diagnosis once. I was in my 40s when I was diagnosed with diabetes. I remember the feeling. The doctor was talking, but he sounded to me like he was talking to me through a tunnel from very far away. And all there was in my head was dancing moon pies and RC colas. Granted, there are worse diagnoses to receive. But what does one do with those? I remember speaking with a psychiatrist who specialized in working with dementia patients when my mother received her diagnosis. I had been doing everything I could do to make sure Mother was cared for. A doc asked me point blank, when you've done everything you can do, what do you do next? And I replied, worry. And that's how it goes sometimes, right? We run out of solutions. We do everything we can, and then we worry. We seem to be stuck sometimes in the don't just sit there, do something mindset. And sometimes we do need to get up off our tails and take some action. We need to participate in that struggle. But not every time. Sometimes we need to be more of the mindset of don't just do something, sit there. Sometimes we're the bug. In the Guardian of Night Tarot, it's literal. Here we are, a little happy caterpillar wanting nothing more than to munch on leaves and build a safe space, turn into goo and to grow into something brand new. But there's this scary owl who wants nothing more than a snack of happy little caterpillar. Life can feel like it's out to get us sometimes. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's that coworker who seems to revel in throwing us under the bus. And sometimes it's a car that seems to enjoy breaking down. So what do we do with it? The author and artist of this deck, M.J. Cullinane, says of this card, be aware of how setbacks are influencing your life. Are you patient with yourself? Do you see the opportunity to grow from the experience? Are you able to see beyond your current troubles? Call on the caterpillar when you need to trust in the process, when you need the patience to give events that will turn your life around the time and space to unfold. The caterpillar is all about embracing change. If it didn't release the fear of metamorphosis, it would never know the thrill of flying. Don't just do something, sit there. Here in the Wildwood Tarot, we see that very thing. The authors have named this card Endurance. Our little friend here is taking shelter amongst the stones of earth while a storm rages in the distance. And if we look closely, we'll see that our little friend seems nonplussed, just enjoying poking their little fire with a stick. In the guidebook, the authors tell this story. Legend has it that in 1306, Robert the Bruce took shelter in a cave for 3 winter months while being hunted by soldiers of King Edward I of Scotland. This was the lowest point in his life, having suffered defeat in battle, seeing his brothers executed and his sister captured. The Bruce's only companion in the cave was a spider that attempted to spin its web repeatedly across the mouth of the windy cave. Repeatedly, the wind tore the web apart, but at last the spider succeeded in its quest and the web weathered the storm. Maintaining a resilient mind and retaining a sense of humor are most important to our health, along with the knowledge that the sun will rise on another day filled with opportunities. Sometimes we're that bug. But when do we get to be the windshield? This might be a good time to discuss reversals. You see, the flip side of the struggle shown in the 5 of Pence is success in overcoming them. In the Qabalah, the Sephiroth have correspondences to body parts. The 5s are associated with the right arm. And since a majority of folks are right-handed, the right side has come to be associated with action. But if you're left-handed, feel free to associate your left arm with action. That works for me just fine. I looked through a majority of the decks in my library looking for a 5 of Pence, which shows someone responding with action to their struggles. And I couldn't find a single card that fit the bill. I was sure I'd find something, and I did. I found failure. But you know what? We silly naked apes seem to learn better from failure than from success. And sometimes we have to turn failure to our advantage. I don't often mention reversed cards in the Card of the Week videos, but it seems to fit here. What's the other side of life happening to us? Well, it's us happening to life. A reversed 5 of Pence could hint that things may suck, but are getting better. And sometimes it might hint that we need to take action. We need to be the thing that happens to life. And sometimes we do have to take that action. Sometimes we just say, this stinks, I'm scared, and I'm going to do something. Sometimes we're the windshield. This week's card was suggested by Kelly. Thanks again, Kelly. And thank you for spending some time with me today. If you've enjoyed your time, please like, subscribe, share, comment. My name's Skaji. Safe journey. The elements are right there in the Qabalah as well. The mystical are assigned to the 4 worlds of the Kabbalists and the 4 worlds The elements are right there in the Qabalah as well. In the mystical Qabalah, the author and artist of the mystical, in the mystical Qabalah, this week's card was suggested by